I want to say this, that in a healthy relationship, and a healthy relationship doesn't necessarily mean you both have secure attachment styles. A healthy relationship is where you're both self-aware and you're aware of the
Each
both
other.
of you coming together.
Yeah.
That's what a healthy relationship is.
That is phenomenal.
So
yeah,
you can help or you can facilitate your partner's healing to become secure. So if you know your partner has anxiety issues and you're there not picking up their call intentionally, you're there just saying, I know if I don't pick up this call, she's going to go nuts. And you're there and you're aware of it.
that is so good.
You're intentionally doing this to someone you claim you love. That's very manipulative.
Yeah. This is a new meeting point for people all over the world to gather for healing and ultimate wellness through the solutions provided in our conversations. Welcome to Wellness with Lilly. What do you do when someone you love takes longer than usual to text back after you've messaged them and they're not picking your calls? Do you panic, imagining the worst case scenarios? Do you find yourself reaching for your phone, ready to call 50 times until they respond? Perhaps you contemplate hitting the block button out of frustration or impatience. Or maybe, just maybe, you have the patience to wait no matter how long it takes before jumping into conclusions. Today, we delve into the fascinating world of attachment styles, a concept pioneered by psychologist John Bowlby, and how they shape our behaviors and relationships. Joining us is psychologist Ingrid Cherotich, an expert in understanding the complexities of human attachment. She's also into organizational psychology and a lot more other things she'll be telling us during the show. Together, we'll explore the dynamics of love, trust, and vulnerability. Karibu sana, former classmates.
Imagine.
So many years later.
I think 15 years later.
We've aged well.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Okay.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Karibu.
And thank you for having me on this couch, on your couch.
Happy to see you. What's your attachment style? Let me start there.
Oh, wow. Currently? Currently, my attachment style is secure and anxious.
Oh, secure.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's secure, anxious. Only because I'm in the process of healing.
Yeah.
I'm in the process also of self-awareness, the process of auditing myself continuously. And so the bits and pieces, you know, of insecurities, and there's also pieces of securities. So I would say secure, anxious.
I would say that too, because I know there was a time I was anxious, and I'm not there anymore. But I wonder if we ever get to a point where we've completely healed, like completely secure. What does that look like to you? What would it be in your current state of heart and mind and centeredness that would make you know, now I'm secure? I'll tell you what mine is.
Okay.
So before I was very reactive, like I couldn't help it. I remember when I broke up with my ex-husband, I was so bitter. I used to send him long messages. Long messages. You know those long messages?
Read more.
Could you? Yeah, read more. So one day, I told myself, today I'm not going to text him. And then I was sleeping, and in the middle of the night, I just woke up. I just woke up mysteriously, and I took my phone and I texted him everything I had been holding back that day. So I really struggled to manage the urge to express myself when I'm upset, even when it would bring more damage than good. Then after a lot of therapy, I now don't feel that urge to express myself. I've become very calm. But then I still feel like there are dregs of the anxious person, in that even when I'm not responding or, you know, reaching out unnecessarily, I still am just in some corner overthinking. So, and a whole day can pass very unproductively because I've just been overthinking about something that happened. So secure to me looks like, you know, those dregs will be behind me. Those remainders of anxious anxiety will be behind me. And I know that it will be well. Even if I don't trust myself or trust that other person, I trust God or the process. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I think we would have to take it back and actually just name the attachment styles that are there. So I'd like to group them in two. There's the secure and insecure. So there's the good and the not so good.
Good and evil.
Well, not so good. I always think of, you know, the possibility of being better, the possibility of growing and being an optimist, you know, in these situations.
Yeah.
So one, there's the secure attachment style. This is the ideal attachment style, you know. And to take it back again, attachment styles are formed when we're infants, between the infant and the caregiver, or infant and parent. That is where it's all formed, you know. That's where you get to be heard as an infant, you know, through your goo-goo gagas and, you know, pointing and smiling. So if you are in an environment where you're being catered for as an infant, you know, your parent is responsive to your goo-goo gagas, then it eventually forms your adult relations in future, you know. You end up having secure attachments, good relationships, wholesome, healthy relationships. So if there's a disconnect when you're young, in your formative years, if there's a disconnect between you and your caregiver, you find that they grow up with certain attachment styles that are not as healthy. So from the attachment styles we've talked about, you know, we've mentioned anxious, secure, there's also avoidant, and there's the disorganized attachment style. So secure is already, we've seen that it's good.
Yeah.
The avoidant is literally from the name, avoid. You struggle forming relationships. You actually avoid them. You go an extra mile to avoid forming relationships, whether platonic or, you know, intimate.
Romantic.
Yes, or romantic. So even at work, yes, and we'll delve deeper into that.
Yeah.
And then there's the anxious attachment style. So literally you're anxious. You're like, does he love me? Does he love me enough? Am I doing the most? Should I step back? Should I, you know, it's a lot of comme ci, comme ça.
Am I doing enough? Am I doing too much?
Exactly. You're so anxious. You're always on your toes. And then there's the anxious avoidant, you know. That's where it gets interesting. Things start, you know, they start clashing, or they start pairing up. So you find avoidant and anxious pair up, and you're in a situation where you feel like you've love bombed someone, you've come in too strong, and this person isn't reciprocating the love or the attention you're giving them, and then you step back completely, you withdraw.
So you always swing from one extreme to the other.
So I'd like to look at the attachment spectrum. You know, it's on a spectrum where you're actually secure to a point where you're very insecure, and that's where the disorganized comes in. You're neither here nor there. And I know probably you've met people who exhibit this kind of attachment, and you wonder, so what am I waiting for? Like, what is this person going to do today? Is this person going to just throw their hands in the air, or is this person going to sit down calmly? So they seem a bit disorganized.
Yeah.
As the attachment style.
Yeah.
They're not in one space.
Yeah.
You can't really put them in a secure or an anxious or in an avoidant kind of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to put you on the spotlight a little.
Okay.
And ask you, you said you are secure anxious. So what are those parts of yourself that make you say you're anxious? You're, you know, on the journey to complete security.
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I didn't know we're doing therapy.
Whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Well, I think for anxious, it's the continuous growth. Because we're humans, we're continuously growing.
Yeah.
So we can't say that, oh, I'm done growing, so let me be secure. Or I'm done growing, let me, you know. So the anxiety comes from the calling that I have and the passion that I have, the dedication that I have, the vision that I have. And, you know, feelings of, have I put in enough effort? Have I done my best at work? Have I done my best even with family? Have I communicated? You know, and these aren't wrong. What becomes wrong, or where it becomes a problem, is when you obsess. That obsession.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you're anxious and you're always obsessing about this partner of yours, or obsessing even about your children, you know, their security, and you can't move, it's dilapidating, actually. So for me, I would say it's the continuous growth that I'm experiencing, and the continuous questioning that I will always have, questioning my progress in life, questioning if I've done, you know, the right decision. So I would still say I'm secure. I'm not perfect, but I'm secure in my resolve to have intentional relationships, my resolve to have intentional, you know, just agendas with work or just anything, really.
Okay. Let me ask you an interesting question I received from one of our viewers.
Okay.
I came home yesterday to find that my wife has packed all her clothes and left our home with our 2 children. Boom. This is the 3rd time it's happening. She has been complaining for the last 9 years of our marriage that I ignore her and don't meet her emotional needs. Meanwhile, I feel I'm always doing that. When I get to work, I call her. I call her in the middle of the day, and I call her when I'm about to start going home. I try to be affectionate. We make love at least twice a week, and on a good week, every day of the week. She is never satisfied. She keeps saying I have left her to care for the home alone. Sometimes she says she is a married single mother. I am honestly tired. This time I don't want to enable her madness, but I want my children. What steps can I take, because this marriage has to change? I want to know what ails my wife and how I can bring it to her attention.
A lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, the kids have been uprooted.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the whole intimacy issue.
Yeah.
Now, this is a scenario. There are 2 individuals. Both have attachment styles. By the way, everyone has an attachment style. It's not just for a few.
Yeah.
So the gentleman, just from what you've read, the gentleman exhibits anxious attachment style.
Okay.
Why? Because he's calling her every day and he's doing ABCD, right? He's trying to feel and please. You know, people with anxious attachment style are often known as people pleasers, bootlickers, brown nosers. Wow. Yeah, they're always trying to get into your good books. Like, oh, I'll do this for you. Okay, yeah, it's okay. I'll overextend myself for you. I'll go hungry. I'll catch a bullet for you.
Yeah.
That's how anxious, or that's how anxiety can manifest.
Yeah.
For the lady, from what you've read, it sounds that like she might be an avoidance attachment. These are people who rarely like intimate interactions. They're self-sufficient. I can do all things. I don't need you. You really don't need me. So I can pack my bags and carry my kids because, you don't need us and we don't need you.
Might she be disorganized? Because the gentleman also says that she's never satisfied. So despite all his bootlicking, she's been complaining for the last 9 years, and now she's left for the 3rd time. What is that?
That might also just be disorganized, as you said. You see the way we paired up secure and anxious, there's also anxious and avoidant. And the more you dig deeper into someone's story or into someone's, behavioral pattern, that's when now you could bring it out and piece it out. I like what you said. You said that it might be disorganized. Why? She's not satisfied, but also she's also avoiding.
Yeah.
So it's a mix. It's a mix of anxiety, that anxious attachment, and a mix of also just avoidance. She's avoiding the whole thing. Instead of sitting down and saying, okay, this is the root cause, this is where the problem is. And that's why we always advocate for therapy. And therapy is not just talk therapy. It's not only nature therapy. It's not only sound therapy. There's different kinds of therapy. And therapy actually is informed by the patient or by the client. You come in, we are just blank canvases as therapists. You're the one to lead the conversation. You're the one to decide on what you need to do. So in that kind of situation, that gentleman would have sought for, a mediator. I always, I always push for things like this. We haven't come up with a solution for 9 years. So what is going to make it different this time round? Why not get out of that box that we're in as a couple, as a family? Why not step outside and get help? So you have different channels to get help from. You could get help from the church. You could get help from other, other families, other couples that seem to have things, in order. You could get help even just from a practitioner, like a licensed therapist, so that you get an unbiased kind of support. Because going also to friends and family, there's a way that, it's not balanced. It tilts one side, maybe in favor of the woman or in favor of the man. So seeking such help and clarification. Also knowing these attachment styles. People are not aware of these things. You just think your way is the right way. That if I'm needy as a partner, why isn't my partner reciprocating the neediness or the love?
What would happen if a needy person, if 2 needy people are dating? Is that a perfect match? Two anxious attachments.
To what end? That's my question. To what end are you going to always be on your toes, be anxious, you see? And then again, I'd like to still insist on the thing of growth. As humans, we're always growing and we need to heal, yes? So you find in relationships, once you're aware of your attachment style, for example, the anxious, that you need reassurance, you require someone to say, okay, you're beautiful today, or you smell good, oh, good job, you won't be given your flowers every day. So if you're aware of that, you're aware that you're anxious, and you let your partner also know that you're an anxious attachment kind of individual, that forms the basis of something. And communication.
I love that.
You form a basis where this partner will even empathize. And be like, you know what? Actually, my wife needs more reassurance. Because of what? Maybe not even because she wasn't held as a child. Because she was given character development by someone.
in the last
relationship. And she's healing. And you see this person, you love this person, you want to be with this person. Then you'll employ love, you'll employ patience and understanding and empathy. So it's different levels of this attachment attachment styles.
Yeah.
Even just in anxious attachment, there's a different level, and they manifest differently. People, people will make comments, that, hey, it's okay, najua uko na mtu mwingine.
Yeah, you're like,
where is that from? More often than not, it's, the women. I don't know, there should be a study. Or I should conduct a study where, is anxious attachment style more with women or more with men? Yeah. Is it the women who are always saying, it's okay, I know uko na mrembo mwingine. Who are you texting?
Let's use our own experiences.
Okay.
What has your experience been? Who would you hypothesize is more, which gender is more what?
I would say, this is just
in my opinion.
In my opinion. From what I've experienced my few years on this earth, I would like to believe men are more of the avoidant and avoidant anxious. So there's avoidant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even a conversation we were having earlier.
Yeah.
Avoidant because men compartmentalize.
Yes.
They compartmentalize. And I also watched just yesterday that a man has, he won't go so far to, if something is here, he'll get it here. He won't go so far to go reach out for that dream woman, like a Rihanna, for example. Yeah. He'll get what is
locally available.
Locally available. Locally grown, locally available.
Yeah.
Because he has compartmentalized. So you find that what he has chosen might not be what his heart's desire was, So in a bid to escape, this is where they become Houdini, the magician.
Yeah.
They become escape artists. They avoid confrontation. They avoid situations. So they're anxious at the same time, They're anxious. Oh, I don't want my wife to leave, so I will overdo. I will splurge on this. And I will, I'll be there for the weekend. I'll be around, And the wife will be like, what are you? I thought you're going to the garage. Hawendi kinyozi.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen with men, especially when they get money, and not all the men, and again, in my humble opinion,
yes,
there's no study, is that if I splurge on you, then I expect that if I say jump, you jump.
How high?
Yeah. And if you don't go how high, or if you don't jump when I say jump, I then start perceiving that as disrespect and feeling anxious about it and feeling like I need to then discipline you for it. Have you come across that phenomenon where there are men who will splurge on their women, but it's not an open-ended splurge, even if they call it so? Is that so? I find that also avoidant anxious.
Oh wow, you're making me think of the word manipulation. That's so that guy who does that, has the anxiety. That's one, yes, and then he's quite manipulative. Why? Because money also holds some bit of power, right? So he's going to deny you what he thinks is what is keeping you there.
Yeah.
So if it's money, he's going to deny you that. That's very manipulative. If it's attention, he'll deny you attention, which will prompt you, the lady, to start being anxious.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yes.
I want to say this, that in a healthy relationship, and a healthy relationship doesn't necessarily mean you both have secure attachment styles. A healthy relationship is where you're both self-aware and you're aware of the
Each
both
other.
of you
Yes.
coming together.
Yeah.
That's what a healthy relationship is.
That is phenomenal.
So you can help or you can facilitate your partner's healing to become secure. So if you know your partner has anxiety issues and you're there not picking up their call intentionally, you're there just saying, I know if I don't pick up this call, she's going to go nuts. And you're there and you're aware of it.
That is so good.
You're intentionally doing this to someone you claim you love. That's very manipulative.
Yeah.
So even with these attachment styles, there's things that come with these styles, especially the insecure styles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of manipulation. There's even arrogance. I mean, like there's so much. So if we single out one attachment style, let's say the avoidant attachment style, you'll find these are people who would choose to avoid any situation. They don't like change. They don't like to be questioned or to be challenged. They just want to avoid. They want to maintain the status quo. Don't bother me, I won't bother you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of attachment style that, goes on with the men. Yeah. So you had asked me about, the men. They avoid. Okay, most, or the stories that we've heard and the stories that we've seen, they would avoid. And how do we see it manifesting in Nairobi, manifesting in Kenya? Nenda ushago for 1 week. Why? He's avoiding.
Oh, even those long business trips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they schedule their business appointments at a time when they know that nyumbani hakukaliki, serikali imewaka. That's what, mind you, I hear this from people because I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you find they run away. And if they can't run away for some days, they go to the bar, they go to, nenda kinyozi. Even that kinyozi, some people use it. Some people use it just to escape,
Yeah.
They don't want confrontation. They don't want, they're avoiding.
Yeah.
So in a partnership, you also need to be aware of who you want to engage, whether it's business or whether it's, just socially. You need to know who you're going to engage or what kind of person you want to engage. And once you're self-aware, you can quickly read the room and morph. So let's say we're dealing with a secure person and you come in with your insecurities.
Yes.
Okay, first when you have your insecurities, more often than not, you're not fully aware. You're not fully aware.
That's the worst thing about being insecure.
You're not aware. You think that because your emotions overtake you, the feelings are just too much, and you're wondering, this person isn't responding to my call, my text, so how am I supposed to, you don't see anything inside. The thing that you want is that person to be in front of you.
Yeah.
You just look at this person and you're like, okay, now I can breathe.
Here's the thing with that style of person is that I will really want to be with you, but when I'm with you, nakuchokoza, I'm poking you, you can't have peace. There's a lady who shared her story, and she was saying that she was clingy to her husband in the beginning of their marriage, but it almost comes as a pair that even if you're here, I'm still not appeased, which is what I heard this guy saying about his wife, that even after I've done everything for her, she's still not happy. So even the time we spent together might be all spent, dealing with issues that are just never ending. And like you said, it's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
Because then the avoidant is like, I can never solve a problem with her or with him.
It's becoming too much.
Yeah.
You're too much. You're just in my space. Why are you looking at my phone? Why are you calling my friends?
Yes.
We can also push people to this insecure styles.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The attachment style doesn't start and end when you're an infant. our different, our different seasons as humans, as people, we interact, we learn, we grow, we love, we fall out of love. All these things bring us to this point.
Yeah.
And that's why a continuous self-audit is very important, so that you get to know. I mean, you may have been, working in you had a good employer, good remuneration, everything was bueno, everything was so good. And then just one thing came and shook your life, and you became, avoidant. Trust issues. You don't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone around your property, your children, your family. Yeah. You just want to protect all the time. So at times it's also a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism that prolongs itself and goes and seeps into everything that we're doing. Yeah. So this avoidance, this attachments, this, secure and anxious, we can't put it in a box.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah.
We can't really put it in a box, because guess what? I'll give you an example. COVID happened. People changed. People changed. People sat in their houses and said, what? No money?
Yeah.
They started avoiding going out.
Yeah.
They avoided people. They avoided expenses too much. That's an attachment, because it's how you react. It's your behavior. It's how your character is at the present. So many things affect how we attach. So many things, especially emotionally, because everything boils down to how it made us feel.
Yeah.
Everything. When you met that person, how did you feel? Not what did they have. How did that person make you feel?
Yes.
If you meet, for example, Chandaria, right? How does he make you feel? Does he make you feel worthless because you have your 2 shillings and he has,
his
empire? So these are the kinds of questions that, we should be asking ourselves as the society. And also being a bit kinder to people and more understanding. Because I may meet you today and you feel very secure. I mean, your skin is glowing, your bank is fat, your health is top notch, everything is good. But then again, tomorrow you suffer something, let's say loss, and then you retract.
Yeah.
So, for an example, the passing of my mom got me to a point where I was like, I don't need people.
Oh, how so?
Because it was loss. And then again, you know how we would like to label everything and put a name or have a blueprint. This is how things go. But I mean, we're changing daily. The world is changing daily. So me losing someone as significant as that got me to a point where I felt I don't need to feel this pain again ever in my life.
Oh.
So I'm not going to attach myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let myself love to that point. Was it healthy? No. Why? Because I was avoiding. You see, I was avoiding relationships. I'm like, I love you, but not that much.
Yeah.
Let me go back.
Oh,
you know? So it's always a learning process. We always have to stop, sit, and audit ourselves. Yeah. And so now if we look at it in relationships, like just that gentleman. So what he would have done, because his question was, what do I do? You know, how do I get this through to my wife? How do I have this sit down? As I mentioned earlier, it's good to look outside that box that you put yourself in, that box where you say, oh, this marriage cannot work, or this relationship, or no, the children have to be with, you know, A, B, C, D. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than all of us. Yeah. So we need to move out of that and seek help outside. So whether it's therapy, whether it's a mediator, whether it's, you know, from family or friends, the people you feel most safe with, that's where you should be looking at. the other day, sorry. So the other day, I was just thinking, we are selfish beings as humans. We're selfish, especially when we get partners. You don't want your partner to be texting or picking up a call. So a thought crossed my mind. I was like, if I don't want my husband to be talking to other women, does it mean I'm expecting him to be gay? So, yeah, I was just, these are just thoughts that he's a man. Of course, he's the only two genders or two humans.
Yeah.
There's the man and the woman.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, if he's not talking to a man, then he's probably talking to
a woman. There's not many options.
Yes, there's not many options. If my cat could speak, then that would be a possibility. So then it moved. My thoughts then moved. And I was wondering, okay, so you're in a marriage, you're in a partnership. I mean, your networks have grown. Even just by the fact that you're in a partnership, your networks just grow.
Yes.
Your people know the people of,
Yeah.
So at what point are we supposed to hold on to our partners? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
still
have
expect them to grow.
Yes, and have them grow at the same time. And then my thoughts grew again. Like, so when we have a loss and someone, passes on, and this is the same individual who was saying, do not talk to my husband. Why are you calling my husband? Why are you calling my wife? These are the same people who will say, please, come one, come all. We need to now pray.
Yeah. And bury this person.
Yeah. So at what point does your selfishness, at what point does your anxiety or just, your reservations and your insecurities, at what point do they stop? Is it when there's problems and you're like, oh, I need people? Or this person doesn't belong to me, they belong to the world. Because we don't belong to anyone.
Yeah.
So anyone out there who's trying to tie down or to hunker down their partner, that's a very big disservice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're actually creating a problem instead of bringing more solutions.
And even just creating an environment for growth.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me move now to, you said you do organizational psychology.
Yes.
So I have a question from that perspective, from corporate. I'm a team leader at my workplace in charge of 50 people. Recently, I shared an idea and the team was resonating with the idea. And the team was not resonating with the idea. For me, I was very sure that the idea was great and I insisted that the team follows my idea. However, the team did not execute it well and we performed very poorly on the project that had been running for 1 month. I was sharing with my girlfriend throughout. At one point, she told me that the only reason I was insisting on my idea is because I am insecure and have anxious attachment. Whereby I feel rejected easily and I am constantly trying to prove my worth. She said she also feels the same pressure in our relationship. Could this be true?
Well, one thing about anxious attachment style, especially at the workplace, these are individuals who don't like rattling the waters.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought that's avoidant.
No. It doesn't stop at avoidant. Remember, this is a spectrum. So even in the spectrum, there's the 0.2, 0.5, 0.8, 0.0. So people with anxious attachment, as I'd mentioned earlier, they're like, am I doing good? Boss wangu, can you see, I've done the work. If the boss says jump, they're like, how high, boss? If the team is not for it, they would still be like, let's do it. And I'm sure you worked with or interacted with people like that. They're like, no, it's okay. Even in school. And I'd like to think behavior and character is so raw and so sweet to study. For me, it's so sweet to study when, it's at the formative years, when they're in high school, in primary school. That's when they're starting to self-know themselves.
Yeah.
They also have the just the experience and even the words to express themselves. So you kind of get to understand someone's behavior then. So for this team leader, yes, they may have anxious attachment style, but also a bit of secure because he believes in himself. He believes that, it works.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's, I would like to say also delusional to some point. It can overstretch. But secure and anxious. Why? Because he believes what he's saying is the gospel truth. Yeah. And this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
But then again, he also wants the team to bend to what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he wants to prove himself that this is actually what is good for the team.
Yeah.
But remember, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. So what is this team also giving to him? Like what energies, what responses are they giving to him for him to believe that he's right, for him to believe that this is the way it's supposed to go? The team didn't perform.
So they didn't, first of all, they were not even for the idea and they didn't perform, which begs the question, why they didn't perform? Was it because it was a bad idea, or was it because their energy towards it was already compromised? So either of those two options will reflect on whether the idea was actually a good idea or not. So did they not perform because they were not for it, so already their attitude zero? Or did they not perform because it was a bad idea, as they were suggesting?
Well, I would ask them, what were their other suggestions? If you say something is bad, okay, then what is your suggestion? You see? So again, it takes two to tango. I would say so many things come into play. The team, because if we can hypothesize this.
Yeah.
The team may have picked up his anxious attachment. He's not stable. So it makes him disorganized in a way. And they would think, maybe this time, his ideas are always whack. So there's no need to put in energies there. Yeah. He's an anxious kind of guy. So his girlfriend might be saying the truth because she has seen him not only as a man, but also in an intimate, from an intimate lens. Yes, exactly. So this kind of team leader, what's the positive? Like, where do we move on from such a team leader? Are we to dismiss him? Are we to give him space? Are we to include him? So for the anxious kind of individuals, these people thrive. They thrive in perfectionism. They want to be perfectionists. They want to prove and show that, I did it. Like what I said, see, I told you so. So that's where, it can be good for an organization. Even just for the team. Because they have this resolve. They're determined about their own beliefs. And they say, this is what's going to go. So that's why he's a team leader. Because of his determination. It might be a wrong and bad idea to begin with. That's true. It might be a bad idea. But behind that bad idea, is there something more? Is he a leader? Is he going to facilitate this project?
As a leader, where does one draw the line between, you used a very nice word, delusional and determined. There's a song for Huu Ndio Mwaka wa Kuforce. Was it coined by is that an avoidant phrase or an anxious attachment phrase?
First, I don't even know the song.
You don't know Huu Ndio Mwaka wa Kuforce?
By who?
I don't know who sang it. Does anyone know who sang it?
I don't know the song. Okay. So based on the song.
all right. Let me ask. My question was, what's the line between forcing issues and just
Delusion.
being, so forcing issues being delusional also, and being a secure attachment style where I truly believe, and I'm right, that this is a good idea?
I want to say it's when you don't listen to other people. You don't consider other people's thoughts, school of thought, you know. You're not inclusive. You're disagreeable. When someone raises up their hand and says, oh, I suggest this, you're like, no.
You get offended.
Exactly. You get offended, you dismiss other people. You're too headstrong. You're too headstrong in whatever that you believe. So a good leader, and I think this has been drilled into our minds ever since, you know, a good leader is someone who listens, but also is vocal, you know.
Balanced.
Someone, very balanced. Someone who creates harmony. It's actually a harmony because you're different, you're working with different people from different backgrounds. I mean, maybe this one grew up in a rescue center or children's home. So they didn't have that, you know, that caregiver love. So they don't like conflict. They'll avoid conflict. You tell them, stand here. They'll be like, okay. You tell them, I'm giving you half pay. They're like, it's okay. As long as there's pay at the end of the day, you know. You're dealing with someone who will ask you questions. Very secure in themselves. They're like, if I was the boss, by the way, I would have done this. They challenge you. Then you meet someone else who's quite anxious. They want to please you and do this. One is disorganized. You're like, why did I even bring this person on board? They're good, but they're not good. Today they're okay. They come on time. Tomorrow they have all these stories of, you know, my phone was taken or nyumba ilifungwa. So they have a disorganized kind of life. So being a leader, you need to, or team leader, you need to pick out all this, and then find a sweet spot, a common ground. So back to your question, for the delusion, you know, at what point do you, you know, draw the line? Listening. I'd like to say, you know, listening, active listening. Not just listening. Because people just talking like nimesikia. I've heard you. Thank you. Thanks for your opinion. We'll action.
Have you experienced organizations that have, like, that are very meeting heavy? They have meetings upon meetings. Monday meeting, Wednesday meeting, Thursday meeting. But the team seems to feel that nothing ever comes out of these meetings. It's just management that loves to see people.
I was in an organization like that.
Oh, me too. I think all of us.
Oh my. Like, I would wake up to virtual meetings. After a virtual meeting, I have to run to the office to have a physical meeting with the same people I had a virtual meeting with. And I'm like, I'm using money, I'm using time and resources, you know, everything. But the tangible results are lacking. And so it goes back to that the managers or the CEOs, you know, management style. And, you know, management style is also affected heavily by, as we've seen today, attachment styles. Because you're insecure. You're like, I want this business to work. You know, I want my employees to be happy, but I also want them to respect me. I want to take them out for lunch, but I also want them to send in their reports. So that fine balance, I believe it's something that you slowly grow into. It takes work. This is not a one time, you know, it's not you fix it in one day or in one sitting of therapy. It's a continuous thing because self-audit is also very continuous. Just as we grow, we continue to audit ourselves because of the different experiences we have. Today's experience is going to influence me this evening, influence my thoughts tomorrow and a month from now. So we should be graceful. We should have that grace. Like, extend grace and give grace to yourself to know that, oh, it's actually this period. We're all working towards being secure at our jobs, in our finances, in our relationships, you know, even with ourselves. You want to be secure in whatever you dress, you know, in your body, in your voice. It doesn't happen overnight. It's very continuous. So just circling it back, it's all about self-awareness and knowing that it's a process. And a process takes time. And just as, you know, some of us are green thumbs. Yeah, we plant and then we wait. We're like, oh, it's sprouted.
You feel good.
You feel good.
Yeah.
And you can't wait to see, you know, how the leaves are going to come out, or if they'll have flowers, or cross-pollination. Same thing as yourself. Same thing.
Oh, that's profound.
Same thing as yourself. Same thing as others. Imagine if you can accord that to yourself, it will come naturally towards others. So as much as we're patient, even just watching, you know, a simple thing like a bean seed, it takes how many days to germinate? Like 5 days? 4 or 5 days?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But yeah, it has that time where it needs to, you know, conducive environment. So what my challenge to people, to whoever is watching or listening is, are you in a conducive environment to see yourself grow to the person that you want to become? Because we're always aware.
What's a conducive environment? And this is the last question. We've got 2 minutes.
Okay.
But what's a conducive environment for me to grow? Or how can I discern that I'm not in one? And where do I now get another conducive? Because for sure, I think you'll be in an organization where some people have been thriving for decades, but 2 years. There's a place I worked for 2 years, and then when I left, it was difficult for me as well. I recommended to them someone that I felt could take on the tasks I had been doing. And 1 week later, she was out of that place. She asked me, 2 years? How? So people will thrive in different environments. How can I discern which environment is good for me and which one is not?
Self-awareness, 1.
Back to number 1.
Yes, I'll give you an example of 2 women. Why? Because, I'll give you an example of 2 women. One lady is single and unmarried, childless, you know, she's just by herself. And the other has a family. Let's say maybe she's a single mom because of different things, or she's actually in a, you know, in a relationship. Both are in the same institution. Both are employed by the same employer. Whatever this single person is going through is very different in her own space, in her own life. Well, she might be in a space where she's saying, you know what, even if the boss requires me to work till 10 p.m., who am I going home to? I already did my meal plans. That's her space. For this lady who's married and has a child, you know, she's thinking about more people other than her. She has other mouths to feed. She has responsibilities, you know, and she has people to answer to at the end of the day. So I would say being self-aware, what is it that you want, really? And audit yourself. Audit yourself to know that I'm sticking here because I have a child. Or I'm sticking here because you've given yourself a time frame. After 1 year, this other place that I want to be at require me to have finished 1 year here. You know, this is life. And there's no one size fits all. And that's, I think, a take-away kind of thing, is that every person's life is unique. So if you start from yourself, the individual, you'll get to find out who you want to be. So part of my therapy is, my therapy is solution-focused. You come in with all sorts of things, you know, whether it's finances, whether it's relationship issues. I practice solution-focused based therapy. So how it goes is, what does Lilly want? So there are goals. So we have the short-term goals and we have the long-term goals. And then we start working backwards until here, to this couch, you know. And at times we find that the first step you need to take is delete the pictures or the messages from your phone. That's how simple it is. Or the first step you need to take is to take a shower. Get out of bed. Take a shower. Get out of that depressive state, you know. Whether you're going to battle work or you're going to battle your relationship. What is your goal? Then move backwards. So from that goal, what do I need to do?
Right this minute, I need to take a shower. That's what you mean. After you've worked worked backwards, because your short-term goal can be like, oh, I need to get into the CBD and pick up a parcel that has been sent. But you've been procrastinating for like a day, 2 days, knowing very well that you're going to be charged. For that parcel. So what's the first step? You need to get out of bed. Oh, tiny step. Tiny steps that lead up to the bigger picture. So even in this conversation for attachment styles, it's not fixed. You can heal from your attachment style. You can unlearn. And that's a very big thing also we have in therapy. Unlearning and learning or relearning. So you unlearn the fact that people will, up and leave. You're anxious that I won't find my boyfriend, or I won't find this office, or I might get fired tomorrow because, of rumors, or you're anxious. It all stems from within. But when you're secure, these things don't happen. So if we look at it from that angle of these things can be changed. Like I can unlearn being avoidant. Why? Because I'm in an environment where I am loved. People want me there. People are calling and saying, where are you? Come through. Don't even worry. Imagine everything is here. You just come. So slowly by slowly, that's a step. Picking up that call, not avoiding the call, and picking it up and saying, this person is always calling me for sherehe. Imagine, let me just go. Let me just go today. So you get up, you shower, you dress up, you catch a ride, and you get there. And you have a good time. And you wonder, this is not so bad. And slowly, you're detaching from this avoidance, and you start embracing. You start embracing and becoming secure in yourself that, oh, I can actually be loved. People actually want to hear from me. They want me around. So it takes, as I said, it takes two to tango. Two can be two individuals or parties. So being empathetic, realizing that this person can also be suffering from their own insecurities. So let me be kind. So it all starts again from the self. Everything starts from the self. That's perfect, Ingrid. Thank you so much. Thank you. Everything you've said is profound, but the thing that really hit home for me, and let me know in the comments what hit home for you, was when you said you can be in a healthy relationship without necessarily being completely secure people, but just by being self-aware of yourself and your partner. I think that also boils into organizations. You can be in a healthy organization just by teaching people, teaching your team how to be aware of each other and empathetic and compassionate towards each other. And how do we do this? Just tidbit. We have tests. So, like get to know someone's personality. Don't dismiss someone just because they didn't say hi back, So I've seen organizations, and this is something we also employ in small and larger teams. We give them personality tests. And from there, they can place themselves properly and see actually which departments they can be moved to. I mean, organizational psychology is very vast. And I love it because that's where we spend most of our time. I mean, like right now, you're at work, I'm at work, right? So if you get to know what your teammates
or who your teammates are or your workmates, it becomes easier, you know, even when you go back home, because your family, maybe your family unit is smaller, you find that you can replicate that from work to home. And then it becomes conducive. Answering to your question, it becomes a conducive environment, one that you have already tailor-made. You actually make the environment.
That is so profound. I love that.
Good.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ingrid.
Thank you.
Where can they find you?
Well, you could find me on 0728 029 005, on LinkedIn as Ingrid Cherotich, and on Instagram also as Therapist Ingrid.
Thank you all so much for watching. Again, let me know in the comments, what's your attachment style? What are your goals? Just let me know your thoughts on the show. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.